if you don't mind, Alex, maybe we can move into a couple of these other products here. And in particular, if we maybe can get into the loan aspect. And Keith has a question for you. Keith refers a lot of people over on the merchant cash advances. I know you do something a little different. And then, Keith, did you want to ask that question now? And then we'll get into this on the business loans, cash advance. And Jeremy, you can go down there and list all the different things he offers. And then Alex, maybe kind of explain that area. And then at the end, we'll go to the chargeback mitigation and how important that is. Keith, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So, so I guess my question was, I was talking to Vince the other day, and one of the things, can you hear me?
I can
you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that my clients hit a lot of times. So we basically reach a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of beginning entrepreneurs. Some are really big, successful. Some are just at the early stages, and it's the ones at the early stages that are always looking for ways to get excess cash capital to be able to grow, right? And so one of the things that has always been appealing is folks like PayPal, they have their working capital model. And I was talking to Vince, and he said, you have something very similar, where the idea is merchant cash advances, where you look at their history of sales and say, hey, we'll give you a certain amount of money, like almost instantly, no credit, or maybe you require credit, but PayPal, their big thing is no credit, right? They just look at your history, and then you just pay it back as percentage of sales. So wondering, you have that option, and if so, what does that look like with you, and what are some of the important requirements that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so absolutely. We have a very similar product, except for it's not tied to your credit card processing. So it doesn't matter how your customers pay you, and you don't have to make any changes to your business for this. So really, what the requirements are is that the business has to be at least in business at least 6 months to 1 year. So not a brand new startup, but a newer startup. They need to have at least $10,000 per month in gross revenue, so like in top line sales, not profit, just money coming into the business. It does need to be a business. We only focus on business funding, so either a DBA, an LLC, or an S or C corporation. A personal guarantee is not always required, especially if you tell us up front if it's a requirement or not. We can often make it not part of the funding, and it also has to be a United States business, and they can't have any other funding deals in at least the last 30 days.
Funding deals with you, that is, or in general, or what do you mean?
With anyone. So if they got a deal with PayPal or someone else, there has to be at least 30 days since they were funded. They can still be paying it off, but it has to be at least 30 days since the last time they got that big deposit in their account.
And what's the typical payback percentages? You give them a range, and do they get to pick like what percentage they want to pay back out of their sales?
We look at how much they want, and then we split the payments among 3 to 12 months, depending on what their preference is, and then we do a daily ACH a daily or weekly ACH out of their bank account for an equal amount every single day throughout the term, and again only on business days.
Got it. Okay, great. And then one last thing, I guess, is there a cap or percentage of sales that you typically use as a baseline? So if they've had 12 months of sales, $400,000, you put some type of you'll give them up to maybe 15%, 20%, or whatever, a certain number?
The very rough general rule of thumb um, taking into account no other information that could obviously make a difference. It's basically 75 75% to 125% of their average monthly sales. So if they're doing, let's say, 100 grand per month, we could get them funding between 80 and 125, between 80 and 125,000. That would
Got it. Makes sense.
Be paid back over 12 months in equal predictable payments.
And I wanted to say on the equal predictable payments, I personally like that. I've done some cash advances in my career with some customers and helped a lot of other, sales agents with cash advances. And sometimes it can be a little difficult when you're saying, okay, your holdback percentage is 20%, 30% of your daily sales. So I personally like, and I feel that the business owners will also like just having that set dollar amount per day, per week, depending on what option they choose from. So that way they know for sure. Okay, every Tuesday I have $200 coming out of my account, whatever that number is. It's consistency, and when you're running a business and dealing with finances, consistency is important. You don't want to. Okay, well I don't know how much I'm going to process on Tuesday. They could end up taking 200 from me. It could be 400. I don't know. So having that predictable number, I think, is important, in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. As well as what's unique about our funding, our funding solution is the fact that it's really set up for business owners that would not otherwise qualify for another program, and really focusing on businesses that are in a tough spot and really need the money for their business, so that we can really help them get out of that tough spot. And some great more examples. Like earlier, I talked about the restaurant owner whose freezer died. A couple more great examples is a business owner who had a huge dip in sales or dip in payments from the customers, and that business owner really needs to purchase inventory so they can keep selling stuff while they follow up with those customers to make sure that they get those payments. Another great example is a business owner who wants to purchase a training program that will grow his business by 10 times. A great example of customers that we've worked with in the past is like a program on how to relaunch your fitness gym. And in that case, you will make 5 times the loan amount in 2 months, but you need the cash now to buy the program. And a great last example is a business owner who wants to send their sales team to a training before the busy season, before they have the funds that are coming in 3 months, and that they'll easily be able to pay back the loan quickly and fast. But they need the money now so that they can send the staff off to training. And so again, there's no early prepayment penalty. You can pay it off at any time, and with those predictable payments, you really know how much you owe, and so that you can really really gauge on how quick you can pay it off.
That's awesome. One last question. I know we have other things we got to move on to, but as far as when somebody does it, it sounds like because they don't have to be necessarily using your merchant processing, you can take an existing business as long as they have the history, right? No matter who they've been using in the past, and be able to open up your merchant cash advances to them.
Right, exactly, and that's why we more focus on the business funding as opposed to a merchant cash advance, because it really has nothing to do with their merchant account at all. So they can keep everything the way it is now, and get the money to help their business get what they need.
Does that answer all your questions, Keith?
Yeah. I'll save one more till the end in case if there's time, and if not, I'll cover it offline. Thanks.
No, there's time. We're going to make the time today. What's the other question?
Well, the other question I had is, do you guys have the ability in your merchant processing to allow businesses to sign up on, if they do a contract, to be able to withhold a certain percentage as part of a program or a payment program? So let me give you an example. Somebody wants to sign up with a program, and they say, you know what, we're going to give you this program. We're going to help you with the services that we provide. You just have to agree to pay 10% of your gross sales, and that gets withheld out of the merchant processing. And this would require that they use our recommended processor, right? I mean, I actually think that's the brilliance of PayPal's model, is that you have to use them, and they're guaranteed their money that way, right? Because it's coming out on every transaction. So just wondering, Alex, if you have creative solutions like that, where if agreed to by the client, that they can agree to have a certain percentage withheld to make a payment.
Well, to dive in a little bit deep here, the biggest issue with that model, unless you're funding something for the merchant as a cash advance, is the fact that the merchant is going to get a 1099 form from that merchant provider for the full amount that is distributed through the credit card sales, and with that full amount not going to the business owner's bank account, and some of it going off, being split off to another program or service, that can really create an accounting nightmare, and that's why a lot of the payment processors have kind of gone away from that, unless it's like cash advance or something like that. So it is possible, but it's not always the best option.
Okay, cool. No, and that's actually a fair point. I think a lot of it's as far as the cash advance happening, it's more of where is the cash going. So they're getting a cash advance and they're just paying it. They just may be turning it around right away into the program. So it's kind of like it's a paper trail for sure. But I definitely get your point. And again, we can talk about that offline on some ways that we're looking to use similar things like that.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
And Keith, I don't think you ever made a commission from PayPal, did you?
No, but that was the thing.
You suggested over, you didn't make any money on whenever PayPal gets the deal. You don't make a dime on it.
No, and that's the thing is we actually have one of my very high end clients that we're working with. I have a model and have some partners that want to go in on it, where we actually want to maybe actually do our own loans to businesses. So we're actually advancing on our own loans, but we want to make sure we get repayments. And so it's part of an investment model. So that's the thing, is that when we saw what PayPal was doing, that was the piece of the puzzle that we were missing, is ensuring we get payment out of every dollar that comes back in, right? So It's kind of part of an investment model that we're doing as well. Is look, if I'm going to give you $20,000 to grow your business, and I want to make sure that we're getting repayment on that.
Yeah. Hey, I know there's other people on the phone here that I've heard from. Mike, I know you're out there. Jim, Ridge. I can't list everyone here. Is there anyone else out there? Joel, I know you're out there. I got Troy. You talked to Jim. Some of you guys are muted. And Troy Howard, I know you're out there. Is there anyone else out there on the phone, on the call, that would like to ask a question? Hopefully we've covered everything. We're going to get into the mitigation one when we're in the call with that. So like I said, we're going to go a little over, but this is very, very important to you and the opportunity. Mike, are you out there? Do you have any questions? Probably have me on mute. Probably going to be unmuting me right now. Yeah, while he's unmuting me, Coach Jim, you're out there. Troy Howard or Joel Griffin.
I have no questions. This is Mike. I have no questions. I'm good.
Okay. Ridge, I know you're out there. I talked to you yesterday. I don't know if you have any. I'm just going around. You don't have to. I just want to make sure you guys have an opportunity to say something, and because we do want to hear from you. Stefan, you're there. I see people coming off mute. Is there anyone out there that would like? This is a golden time. Alex is a very awesome product, and this is a great chance to get to know little more about them and to ask that question. So don't be afraid to ask the question. Rich, did you have any? And don't be afraid if you don't have one either. I'm just trying to open it up for you. Rich, did you have any questions for him?
No, not at this time. Thanks.
Okay. And then Troy Howard, did you have any by chance?
No, I don't have any questions at this time. Thanks.
Okay. And then Joel Griffin, I know you're out there. Anyone else I see? Some people, when you log in, if you guys put your name on there, so that I kind of know who's out there, because otherwise we just see numbers out here. We don't know who you are exactly. So I know we have a lot of people on this call. I'm trying to figure out who you are. But
Hey,
yeah.
I know we also have Linda Marte on the phone with us too.
And I know we took some people off mute. Now we got a phone ringing, Jeremy. Linda, are you out there?
Here, I just use my landline, so it doesn't reflect my number because I'm using my.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, when you guys sign into the call, if you could put your names on there, because it really helps us know who it is. But Linda, I know, do you have any questions?
Not so far.
I just
just
answered all your questions
now
for you?
I'm good.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Thanks, Linda.
Jeremy, do you have any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and we'll get back into the last and final part of this.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've had a lot of really great questions being asked. Thank you for everybody who's thinking of questions to bring up. Those are really important. If there are more questions after the call that come to mind that you're not thinking of now, get them to me. We'll make sure you get your answers. But I'm good right now, Vince. Thank you.
Okay.